Am I the asshole here for calling the ambulance for my coworker, even though I know she was kind of faking it? I, 28 male, am working in an English language center in a Southeast Asian country. There's a female coworker in her 20s here who often touches her head and wobbles like she was about to faint, and she would lie down on the couch, letting people fan her, bring water and food to her. We take midday naps here, so whenever she does this, everyone's lunch and nap time is ruined, especially the ones who keep caring for her. This would happen at least twice a month. So over the last 5 or 6 months, I've seen a few incidents when we worked the same shift. One time, she asked me to order ice cream for her. Info, it's a big crowded city, so you can just walk to the ice cream shop nearby to grab one for $1. She didn't pay me back, but that's beside the point. This Monday, she did it again, and this time, she asked a girl to order her an iced drink and a sandwich. A group of co-workers fanned her, did the whole caring thing like she's a sick child. I stood up from my chair, walked towards her, asked if she was okay, and then I went to the men's washroom, dialed for an ambulance, and went back to my seat. After 20 minutes, we heard a siren and my phone rang again, and I stood up and told her servants to help her to the ambulance. Her face changed. You know, that face when someone knows they messed up? Other girls asked if I called, and I said yeah. It seems more severe this time, so it's best for her to go. The ambulance is here already. You'll have to pay for it regardless. The ambulance fee is about 1 to 2 days worth of her salary, which is around $50. Other co-workers actually agreed and helped her get on the ambulance. And now that I think of it, no one called an ambulance for her once before. Ever since that incident, she stopped interacting with me beyond highs and hellos. It's Thursday now, not a word to me. Am I the asshole here for this? In the comments, I had someone that I was supervising act like they were having a heart attack. I was pretty confident their plan was to skip the ER and head home as they didn't want to work. But unfortunately for them, there is policy that does not allow someone having a heart attack to drive, so they had to go through with the ER. Expensive fake heart attack. Jesus, if you're trying to lie to get out of work, maybe go with something a little less lethal. Heart attack is a hard one to back up. I always went with the explosive diarrhea excuse because it's gross enough that nobody questioned it, but mundane enough that you don't usually need a hospital visit. I'm curious to know if her spells have been miraculously cured now. If the other co-workers agreed that the ambulance was the right thing to do, the jig is probably up. The idea is planted that calling one is the right thing to do when she has spells, meaning that now there is always a chance someone genuinely meaning well will call, and she'll have to pay for the ambulance, which she likely can't afford. I'd have called the ambulance too. As far as you know, she could be severely unwell, and nobody has gotten her medical attention, just been buying her food. I guess it's one of those malicious compliance situations then, if you want to keep calling the ambulance on her every time and costing her 1 to 2 days worth of salary, go ahead, but that's likely going to cause a hostile work environment, and it's Southeast Asia, so I don't know how that is going to be dealt with. So good luck with that. That doesn't sound like a fun time, but what can you do? Her fainting is wasting people's time, but it seems like everyone else is kind of just accepting of it for some reason. Who knows why? And now, onto the update. So here's the update on the female co-worker who kept fainting and asking people to order food for her. I'll call her Anne, because there's a lot of women involved in this update. After the first post, I texted some female co-workers to see if they had received food money back. 2 female teachers told me that they hadn't, but they didn't mind. The total amount was around $20 per person. Word got around fast, and I was added to a group of 5 other people. So in total, at least 7 female teachers were affected by Anne. Based on their word, Anne has low blood pressure and malnutrition. She indeed is very thin, like the K-pop idol type of body. She clearly has some unhealthy relationship with food. It's almost as if she doesn't want to pay for food. She borrowed money from multiple female teachers to pay hospital bills, quote-unquote, and begged them not to disclose this information to others. We're talking up to a loan that's worth 4 months of salary. She basically borrowed half of the teacher's emergency funds. She also flirted with one female teacher. Said teacher often brings her on small dinner dates. I didn't ask on this matter. HR was notified, and the girls did the talking. I was called in as the one who called the ambulance. After the meeting, it's confirmed that Anne will be let go after 30 days. The reasoning was creating a hostile workplace environment. This morning was really awkward. Unfortunately, HR cannot help with the loans that people have given her, as it's a personal matter. However, HR is willing to provide personal information of Anne to the affected co-workers. Oh well, it's their matter now. Now, answering some comments from the previous post, some mentioned that I was wasting healthcare resources. Well, she was examined and came back with a diagnosis. Some asked me why everything is so cheap. It's Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Most things are affordable here except real estate. In fact, my overseas relatives literally book flights to Vietnam for medical care. Insulin here is like $3 to $7 per vial, and you can buy it at almost any public and private hospital. If you have a national healthcare ID, it's basically free. Some were worried for me because I accidentally slipped my personal social media page on the previous post. I don't really care, honestly. I'm considered a valuable asset, and I'm easy to work with. If anything comes up, I think the company and I will be able to solve it peacefully. Yes, people take midday naps in Vietnam. You're the odd one if you don't. If I'm not attending a class, I'm allowed to be online, doing TikToks, etc. Having a TikTok account is not a legal reason to be let go. And there's one Redditor here who was incredibly vindictive and was trying to antagonize me in the DMs. Girl, get a grip. You deliberately ignored all the other comments. You're blocked. Bye. And finally, don't lend your co-workers half of your emergency funds. Like, why? In the comments, I actually agree with the OP, in that it struck me as odd that no one had called an ambulance before this. I mean, if not the co-workers, none of the managers? Admittedly, I know virtually nothing about Vietnam, so for all I know, maybe that's not terribly uncommon. My mind just went to potential liability issues. Honestly, it'd have been okay if she was just getting ill. There are so many things which can go wrong with the human body, especially women. However, real or fake, she's using it, and if she was just skipping work, corporations losing money doesn't bother me, but you're taking money from your colleagues and not returning it, abusing their kindness, and that is a shitty thing to do. OP might have been an arsehole, but a very justified one. I get that, and this is just one of many posts where I think OP was doing the right thing, and they'll have someone come at them with righteous indignation and say, you're an asshole for doing what you did. Not everyone else around you that didn't call an ambulance and was happy to just not rock the boat. If she died in that instance, I guess God willed it. I think OP did the right thing. This would have pissed me off as well, and I would have wanted to do something about it personally. She got a diagnosis from it. Wow, so there was something wrong that she was kind of just ignoring. Seems like everyone won in the end. She was let go, and she's getting help, and she's no longer an issue in the workplace. I understand from her perspective, things might be entirely different, and I'm completely aware of that. I'm only getting OP's perspective, and from OP's perspective, I think they did the right thing and they're not the arsehole. Our next post is by user UnhappyPromise7630, and it's titled, Am I the arsehole for refusing to allow my sister to wear our late mother's jewelry? I, 23 female, and my sister Abby, 20 female, have always had a bumpy relationship throughout our childhood. After our mother's death 2 years ago, we've grown a bit closer. She didn't leave a will, but our dad gave me her jewelry because I wear jewelry every day and have always loved jewelry, especially our mother's jewelry. My sister never wears jewelry because she doesn't find it comfortable, so she always takes it off within an hour. She is also prone to losing things because she sets them down and forgets where she puts them. We would have to wait for her before we could leave the house because she would constantly forget where she had placed things. I would carry her phone and wallet in my purse because she doesn't carry one. Next week, she's going to a destination wedding, and she's asking for some of our mother's jewelry to take on the trip. I said no and explained why. She took offense and told me she's my mother too, you can't gatekeep her jewelry. So I told her that I'm not gatekeeping and that I don't want to lose her jewelry. I don't even wear the jewelry a lot because I don't want to lose it. Our dad thinks that I should just give it to her to keep the peace, and some of our friends think that I'm not an asshole because she does in fact lose the smallest of things. So, am I the asshole? In the comments, Fit Engineering says, it doesn't matter if she doesn't wear jewelry regularly or not. She should be able to have some of your mother's jewelry for sentimental reasons at the very least. It really doesn't matter if you think she should have it or not. Your dad should have split it between the two of you in the first place. It's really not fair that you get all of it and don't want to share. How would you feel if your dad gave all the jewelry to her and she made up reasons why you shouldn't get to have any? You would likely think differently about it if you were in her shoes. She should get to have some of her own from your mother's collection. Agreed. OP did a good job of stating her case, but didn't mention what little sis got that she didn't. Seems unfair. Info. OP, did your sister get something that you're not interested in to balance the scales after your mum's passing? OP says, to clarify, yes, she did get most of her clothes as they are the same size. It was agreed that she got clothes and I got jewelry. Our mother was also very into scrapbooking, so she gets to hold on to those. Someone else replies, clothes are definitely not as long-lasting or valuable as jewelry. Excluding her from jewelry because she's got clothes is not a good trade. They are hardly comparable. The scrapbooks are nice. Maybe you guys should exchange a scrapbook for a couple jewelry pieces. OP replies, it's not that I don't want her to have the jewelry or to wear it at all. I don't want her bringing it on a destination wedding in Colorado where there's nowhere to get it back if lost. She doesn't like jewelry, but she's in the wedding party and needs jewelry for the photos. Who Fears Death says, I think your dad is the asshole here. He should have never given it all to you and excluded her from it. The right thing to do here is redistribute and split at least some of it with her, but with the understanding that if she loses it, that was her responsibility and she isn't going to be able to borrow your pieces. I'm going to say no assholes here because you and your sister aren't assholes, but your dad is. I feel like that gets to the heart of it in this situation. There is just a fundamental difference in what got passed down, and the dad was the one who decided that. I understand OP's reasoning as it relates to the Colorado wedding, and maybe that is an acceptable exception in this instance. If I was the sister, I'd still be upset that I didn't get to wear it at the wedding. Maybe you can have some leniency here, where she still gets to wear it at the wedding, but you take it back right away so that she doesn't lose it. And then after the wedding, when you guys get back home, you can agree upon some jewelry pieces that she gets to have, even if she's going to lose it. Because if you don't redistribute and split at least some of it with her, like that last commenter said, I think there is going to be some animosity that is not going to go away from her towards you. I know from both sides of the aisle, it doesn't seem particularly fair, but if she is going to lose the jewelry pieces, she's going to lose them, and that'll be her fault and not your fault. Sometimes we just have to take those losses. Maybe put like an air tag on them or something like that so you don't lose them. You can find them again. And now, on to the update. First, I would like to clarify some things said. My sister does not like jewelry. She does not wear it. She refuses to wear it. She only asked for them for a destination wedding for pictures. She picked out the clothes. I picked out the jewelry. She has no problem with me having the jewelry. She'd rather me have the jewelry because she doesn't want to keep them. She wanted to borrow them for the wedding, but I said no because I was afraid of her losing them. With that being said, I love my sister and my dad loves my sister. That's why he got the clothes, because she wants to take care of things that she likes, like clothing. I talked to my sister since there's a decent amount of jewelry. Some she rarely wore, and some she wore all the time, like a wedding or engagement ring, along with 2 cross necklaces. I talked to my sister, I apologized for reacting the way that I did, and she accepted my apology and laughed it off because she, in her words, has the mind of a fish, so I understand why you reacted the way you did. She then explained that she was thinking of only wearing them for the ceremony and pictures, so she most likely would take them off for the rest of the day. So I agreed to give her a little jewelry bag that she can put the jewelry in and put the bag in her purse so that she won't lose it. I gave her some pieces for the wedding. We went through them and picked out the jewelry that goes with the bridesmaid's dress. It was a good bonding time as we drank some coffee and went back on some memories of our childhood and our mother. I gave her an old jewelry box of mine, and she said that she was thinking of only wearing them for the ceremony and pictures, so she'll carry the box in her car and put them in the box after the ceremony and pictures. I also gave her one of the cross necklaces. She said she'll put it in her car since she won't wear it. She said she will hang it on her rearview mirror so she can look at and think of her while driving. We both said that it would be like a sister's necklace is to remember her by. In the comments, Smart Quokka says, I hope OP assumed that she will lose the jewelry, so not giving her the most important and unreplaceable pieces. Being absent-minded sucks, but you have to plan for and around it. Yeah, I would have put an AirTag or tile in the jewelry bag. As someone who constantly misplaces things like my phone, keys, and wallet, the 3-pack of tiles I got on sale have saved me many minutes of searching my own house for things that I carry every day. As someone with also the mind of a fish, I also hate wearing jewelry and will absolutely lose them. I have some from my late grandmother that she always wore, and I've never worn them for that reason. Instead, I use them as decorations in my bathroom and car to always have them in the same places. I don't know why the comments were so hard on OP. Her sister literally chose the clothes and scrapbooks and is always losing important things. Giving her sister jewelry literally wasn't even a logical choice given that information. I hope that OP didn't lend her the most sentimental or expensive pieces because I bet my left foot that she's not getting what she lent back. If the sister hates jewelry and is only wearing it for a few hours a wedding, go out and buy some cheap jewelry. Why does it have to be her late mother's jewelry or nothing? Don't know the answer to that one, and I myself perhaps misread that situation as well, until OP clarified that it was she who chose the clothes and scrapbooks over the jewelry because she hates jewelry. I genuinely didn't get that impression from the story. I got the impression that the sister was mad that she didn't get jewelry and she wanted some of the jewelry. And I can see why other people thought that. Thank you, OP, for clear and precise communication in the update because, man, what a difference that makes in the story. Okay. I think yes, just give her some of the jewelry that you wouldn't be too upset to lose if she were to lose it. And then we can all go back to normal after the fact. This all seemed like a lot of kerfuffle for not much reason, but hey, I love the drama. Keep it coming. Thanks for the story, OP. Our next post is by user Lake Glenn, and it's titled, Would I be the asshole here if I declined a volunteer job with a charity because they expect me to pay membership dues and have not been nice? For context, I've been volunteering for many years, and this has never happened to me before. I suppose it's a sign of changing times. I don't know what to do. Please give me your honest opinion, especially if you've had to pay for the privilege of volunteering your time and talents to a charity recently. Thank you so much. A local charity in my area asked me if I would sit on their 10-person steering committee. They had a vacancy. Of the 9 remaining people, 7 are employees/owners of large companies, big donors, gold sponsors of the charity. So when it was time for my interview with 4 members on a Zoom call, I specifically said that I would be joining on my own, not from a gold sponsor company, and I asked what the financial obligation of me as an individual would be. I was assured there were none. They told me that they are flush with cash from grants and not to worry about it. They were honestly great. I repeatedly asked what my responsibilities would be. They said mainly monthly planning meetings, a member outreach subcommittee, and event planning. Cool. I don't have money, but I do have time and talent to offer. My talents are professional. This has not been a problem before. Then I met the committee chairman by himself in a Zoom call. Let's just say that he was not very nice to me. He started by asking what I have to bring to the table. Why should they let me on the committee? I knew he had my entire bio. I am educated and so on, so instead of begging, I told him a side note true story that I was currently trying to get on the Founders Day garden competition judges panel in town, but without much success since those people are very cliquey and don't welcome strangers. We laughed, and he spent the rest of an hour bragging about himself and his work. At the very end of the hour, he squeezed in that they would be leaning on me heavily for event work. There was no time left to ask him to elaborate. Fast forward to Monday, I get an email from him telling me the committee met and voted me in. I just had to complete an application packet with my picture, and we will cover your annual membership. I was shocked that there was a membership fee to donate my time, but since he said that they were covering it, I just wrote back thanking him and saying that I'd get to work on the application packet. Later that day, I got a very terse email from his administrative assistant, one of the committee members that I had not met yet. She said in no uncertain terms he did not mean to say they were covering my membership fee. That's exactly what his email said, and they expected my prompt $100 annual payment. It took the air out of my lungs for two main reasons, and I need to know what you guys think. First, 20% of my shock was the money. I specifically asked all the people I interviewed with what would be the expectations on me, especially the financial obligations, since I'm not a wealthy gold donor and my employers are not sponsoring me on this or any other charity. Second, and 60% of the problem for me, is how disrespected I was. Talked to like I was in third grade. Not an ounce of appreciation for the amount of event work that I'm about to be responsible to deliver to them, or any effort to be friends in the process. Like I was applying for a paid job. Third, the remaining 20% is my concern, that more unwelcome obligation surprises await me if I take this on. Twice he has surprised me with weighty things. Honestly, I want to run away now before I'm knee-deep into the work and letting down the other nice people at this charity. If I bail, what, if anything, should I say is my reason? I've been drafting all kinds of short replies in my mind for 3 days, and nothing is sounding good. Help. In the comments, Laughing Fox Creates says, I've worked with various charities for years, and run fast. There are plenty of normal organizations that will be grateful for your help. Kat says, not the asshole. I would reply to that email, attach the note about the membership being covered already, and CC in everyone that you talked to. Ask for clarification on the membership dues, and after you get whatever answer, tell them thank you for the clarification, but you are no longer willing to apply. Have the day they deserve. It eliminates the telephone game between members and lets them all know that there was some sort of communication breakdown. Not my area of expertise, but yeah, doesn't sound like a good time at all. You're signing yourself up to get bullied and abused and belittled when you're the one that is going out of your way to do so much for them. I understand wanting to get into that cliquey group to be a part of a judging committee, a judging panel, but there has to be other ways around it, instead of putting yourself in the firing line of abuse for the possibility of getting yourself into those similar social circles. I don't think this is worth it personally, especially if this is the warm welcome you receive. Imagine when you're in there and they are more comfortable with you than they are now. No thanks, not the asshole. Get the hell out of there. And now, on to the update. Thank you so much to everyone who read and commented on my post about the charity that wanted me to pay them dues out of my own pocket for the privilege of donating my time and talents to their committee. I read every single comment. Your feedback really helped me to feel better. There was a huge outpouring of support for me and agreement that I was seeing signs of a dysfunctional group, to trust my gut and resign promptly. So that's what I did. I first emailed the very kind person who initially approached me to ask if I would join their charity's committee. I wanted to show her the courtesy of hearing it from me first. My interactions with her were honestly always great, and I felt bad. I told her that I withdrew my name, gave no details, and I wished her all the best. She replied immediately with the sweetest email, offering to talk about it, and probably next week we will have a call. She asked me to please keep an open mind, that maybe it'll work out in the future. Then the main email. I copied the secretary's rude message to me about membership fees and forwarded it to the chair. I double-checked, and as many of you correctly guessed, she had not copied him on it. My email to him was brief and polite, and followed your recommendations. I said that upon reflection, we would not be a good fit, and I was withdrawing my name from further consideration. I wished him all the best in the future. He emailed me back asking if we could talk about it. I replied, thank you. Perhaps we could collaborate in the future, but I was so glad to get away from this group and his leadership that I don't actually plan to revisit this for at least a year, if ever. I want you all to know how very much I appreciate your encouragement. You said to trust my gut, to not tolerate disrespectful treatment, that from your painful experiences, you cautioned it would probably not get any better, that nothing is worth my peace, and that I can find a volunteer experience that will appreciate me and not require me to pay for the privilege. Thank you all. One gentleman suggested that I should put up with the shit treatment and pay the money because this is what is required to climb the business ladders in society and improve my life. I know he meant well, but in reading it, I realized this is exactly the kind of thinking we were taught, and that I now reject. The idea that we have to prostrate ourselves to money and power in the hope that someday some might trickle down to us if we are lucky. We might meet the right person or get new job opportunities out of it, or that in some way it'll elevate us a rung or two in a few years. He believes there is a pecking order, and people at the top are not courteous to people below them. I love my life as it is. I'm not looking to improve it in these ways. Lastly, some people mentioned that there are charities where their boards are made up of paid representatives of large companies where they are reimbursed for their time, or their dues and the time they dedicate to the meetings are comped by their companies for tax write-offs, perks, and mutual donations, and that is a whole culture. I know that. Clearly, that is not me. I told this charity that I was joining on my own. In the words of Elton John and Bernie Taupin, my gift is my song. I'm a workhorse, not a show horse. I was not aiming to reap any business contact benefits from the volunteer work, just to be treated kindly and to serve my community. I'll keep looking for other places to share my time and talents. Again, thank you all so much. In the comments, Yak Actual says, imagine having to pay to donate your time and energy to a charity and they treat you like crap along the way? Nope, I'm out too. Good for OP for having self-respect for themselves. All the responsibilities of the steering committee, all of the pain of essentially being an unpaid intern. Don't you mean a paying intern? Heh. The final filter says, this is hilarious to me that OP is volunteering her free time and they want OP to pay them money? I would really like to know what the hell is going through these people's heads, because that is ridiculous. OP handled it perfectly though, and I love how everyone wanted to have a talk with her afterwards about it. It's actually incredibly common. Most charitable boards require some sort of financial contribution from their members. The messed up part was the bait and switch, not the fact that there's a membership component to serving on a board. The charity that I work for has a membership program that starts at $50, and our board members are expected to be members. Not a big deal, right? But some of the big organizations in the city, Toronto, $50K a year. That's why OP was interviewed the way they were. When you're selected to serve on the board of a registered charity, they usually want affluence and influence. They want to know that you will pay, and they want to know that you'll press your rich friends to get involved and donate as well. The question of what do you bring to the table often translates to who do you bring to the table? And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.